हर्षी अपने आप टर्न ऑफ हो गया था तो उसको आई थिंक बैटरी व्हेन इट वाज लो turned it on.
Okay. It's on again?
Yeah.
Did you clap? Okay. So continue your early married life.
My early married life. Really want to go into that?
What kind of breed?
I think immigration से इसका क्या connection है?
I'm just curious. Okay,
Well, it
basically,
was challenging. I think I would just say it was challenging because I think we came from very different families. But yeah, I mean, it was. Anu was very quiet. She was very different than what she is now. Very reserved. Didn't talk much. And yeah, I think it was a little bit challenging. And I decided to change the job because I think I wanted to just get into a different job 3 months after we got married. So I changed job. So that was a change. And then we were trying to adjust with each other. I think the first year was a little bit challenging because it was just a lot of changes. Anu was also Anu just actually had left the job. I mean, without telling me actually, just before marriage, and then she joined some other job. So she was also into a new job, and job she took was actually very far away. She was earlier close to where we were living, and then she took a job in Delhi. So, not in Delhi actually, it was in Gurgaon. It was very difficult commuting every day. Such a long distance. My office was very close. My office became actually even closer after I changed the job. So it was a lot of changes and a lot of adjustment. And my parents were living with me, so there were issues to kind of adjust with them around. So yeah, so that was
So how did this
1 year
this is
passed.
like your and then in your second year of marriage you moved to the United States, right? So how did this transition happen?
Yeah, so I thought life is going to not. This is not going to be a very easy life to continue like this. So I decided that maybe we should try that. So I proposed that to Anu, and she was very excited. It was my idea, my proposal that maybe we should explore. So then I made a trip to US for one of the conference, and that's when I met this friend of mine, Manishan, who was working at Synopsys. So he got me introduced to the group that he was in. So that was in 2000, and I think they needed somebody. So I interviewed. They kind of liked me. So they made an offer. So then I told my parents. Obviously, it was a shock for them because and at that time it was more like a temporary phase, and then I had to figure out where to move them. So they decided to move them to Sitapur. So they moved to Sitapur, and we moved here. I think it was also driven by that there were too much of kind of life was very stressful with all the changes and all the people around. This was also a way to get to change something in the life. So it was primarily driven by that. and it was a good company, good career move also. So it was fine.
So what was the first? Can you adjust your chair while your head is cut off? And close the door, maybe. Up to you. Thanks. So what were the changes that you were hoping that the US would provide? What different life were you expecting to live in the US that was different to your current situation?
Well, I had lived in US, so I mean I knew what I was getting into, and I think primarily it was ability to also live just two of us together, right? And also career change. And but I think it was difficult for Anu because I think she wanted to change job in India. She was looking for options there. But when we decided to move, the economy was actually tanking at that time. So I, of course, had an offer, but I think Anu tried to get an offer in US, but that offer didn't materialize. She wanted to not come on a spouse visa. She wanted to come on her own. So she got stuck with that. Oh, I need to get the job on my own, which was kind of stupid thing, but that's how it happens when young people, right? But I convinced her not to worry about it, and she came on the spouse visa. But her job here was not really. I mean, the economy was actually tanking at that time, so that did not materialize. So she was very sad when we came here. She kind of her job thing did not work out. So I suggested her to take up some courses, and I also decided to. I mean, I always wanted to do masters, so I thought I'll do also masters. So I told her that I'll do some courses, and she should also. She got registered in the CSU Hayward here. I started taking courses from Stanford, thinking that I'll probably take an admission. So yeah, so our life got busy that way. We both were. I was working, and also doing some courses. So it was challenging, but it was fun because it was just two of us, and it was a new place. I think a lot of for Anu it was all new because it was her first time to live here. So yeah, so I think slowly we got adjusted.
So you mentioned that your parents were a big reason that you moved back to India initially, right?
No, they never insisted me to move back.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I mean. So how did you feel leaving them behind to come to the US again? Or what was that process like, moving them to Singapore?
I think it was not very good. I felt bad about it. But I think they were okay. I mean, they understood that I needed to do something for my career. I think I presented to them as a career move for me. So they were okay with that. They said, yeah, they can manage. And I felt bad because it was kind of first uprooting them from Lucknow to Delhi and then Noida. Then moving them back is kind of uprooting them from Noida. But it's fine. I mean, in the big picture, I think it was okay. So this time when you came to the US, did it feel more final, or was it also in your head, it was also just a temporary thing? It was always a temporary thing because that is how we thought that let's go for 2-3 years. So it was like that. The plan was indefinite 2-3 years, or you wanted to come here, do something, and then after that was done, you'd go back, or it was just, eventually we'll go back. I think it's more like eventually we'll go back There's no set timeline for when we want to go. And of course, we got busy because Anu has to do her courses. And once I also got into that mode, I thought, let me also. And then I took admission and I got admission finally at Stanford. So continued with my master's program. I was very happy that I always wanted to do masters, and that too from a good college. So that was good. Yeah, but then you were born 2004. I think 2001 we came here. I think Mama was just finishing her master's in 2004 when she got pregnant with you. You were born in 2004. Then she started doing a job in Sacramento. Actually, she got a job in Sacramento. So you were 2-month-old, or maybe 3-month-old, and then she had to move to Sacramento. So weekend we would meet, and the weekday she would work there and I'll work here. So it was quite challenging.
How different do you feel your early years in the US were the first time you came versus the second time you came?
Very different. The second time it was like family responsibility, and I think there was like different reasons driving my move here, and I think the life was different. It was more like trying to establish yourself in your job, in your courses I was doing, and Anu was trying to study. We were trying to kind of build that next stage of our career here. It was a lot of hard work. And when I came first time, it was just free, do nothing, just like a lot of fun as a bachelor life.
How did your view of the US change the second time you came with these different expectations, these different goals, and these different experiences you had now as like a married couple working to advance your career? How did your views of the US change?
How did I view that change?
Yeah, like your perspective on the US, how did it change?
I mean, US, I always thought is as career-wise, there are a lot of opportunities here. So it was definitely career-wise, it was a good move. Second time, Synopsys was a good company. I always had a lot of regard for Synopsys. And yeah, I
But
mean,
you
I think
probably experienced a different side of the US the second time you came in some aspects, right?
no, I mean, I didn't see any, I mean, not that much different.
So then you came to the US in 2001. You guys both were master's students for a couple years. Then you finished your master's. You had a kid. When did this thought of returning back to India slip away?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just that when you were born, at that time I applied for my parents' visa again, and they got the visa and they came. Then Anu's mother came after 6 months. Then my parents came again. Then the second kid was born, and then I think they came again. So I think it became like, maybe this is also a good mode where they can come and stay here for 5-6 months. and then 5-6 months you are alone. So it was a mode that sort of continued, and we did not buy the house because we thought always we'll go back. But then you get busy with your work. You are seeing the career opportunities within your work, and then Anu probably changed to a better job because that Sacramento job. I think Anu's mother came and she said, "This is not going to work. So you need to find something local." She found some local job. She was working for Cisco. I think that was a good job. Then she changed the job again. I was actually getting more responsibility in my job. We were trying to raise two very young kids. So I think it was just the time went by. And then after 5-6 years, we said, okay, we need to buy the house. Otherwise, even if you want to go back, you still want to buy a house. And then I think once we bought the house, then we were not going back. In 2008, we bought the house.
Do you think that your parents getting the visitor's visa had a big role to play in feeling comfortable staying in the U.S. and your decision to stay in the U.S. in the end? So
No. I think we were already here. And obviously, once we got the citizenship, we could sponsor them, so that we did. I don't think these were not. I think the decision to stay here longer term happened first. Slowly, I think you kind of kept expanding your whatever tentacles here, right? And then you have just too much investment here. So then moving back is more difficult. But we used to go to India every year. I think once in a year we used to go.
So now it's 2024. You've lived in the U.S. for 23 years. In what ways do you feel that you're a different person from the day you arrived? How have you learned? Have you grown? Have you changed in the last 23 years?
When you are living here every day, you are changing. So culturally, you are changing. Professionally, you are changing. And I think behaviorally, you are changing. So yeah, I think I have changed a lot. Now you want me to explain you how, right, in what words, right? So obviously, the way I used to feel strongly about certain things, certain way things should be done, from the way I think I have grown in India, I don't feel that strongly anymore. And what is acceptable or not acceptable, that changes over time. The expectation from you changes. I think now we feel this like more as a home compared to India, because you just are used to certain lifestyle and certain things here. Even if you miss what you have in India, you can't relate to that much if you live there compared to here. Things are more predictable here. Things are more organized here. There are more career opportunities here. Things can be more reliably done, predictably done here. And slowly, I think you have less connections. Their roots are also gone in India, right? Like once my parents moved here, so I had at least one less place to rely on to go there, right? So yeah, slowly you change as a person. You change. You become more American. So that's what I think. I think that happened with us.
Thinking back to like those initial years when you first came to the U.S., what hopes or expectations you had back then that you feel didn't turn out, and which hopes and expectations did turn out?
I mean, I always was very sincere to my job, and I think I didn't think that I'll have this much responsibility at that time. I mean, you never think that far. So that was, you can say, I mean, it is expected, but yeah, kind of not expected also. And yeah, it's a very slow process, so you can't really, on everyday basis, there's nothing new, nothing dramatic. But I think over a long period, the way you establish yourself and it becomes, you become comfortable. So yeah, that is a process. If you think, was it predicted like that 20 years back? I don't know. I can't say.
If you could go back and talk to your, what was it, like 23-year-old self when you first came, 26, 27-year-old self, what, like, do you have any regrets? Like, do you have things you would have done differently that you would like to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things you will do differently, but I don't think I have any regret. I think going back to India was a good decision, because if I had not done that, then I would have regretted that. But going then and then coming back was also fine. And so at least you knew whatever you wanted to get. And I don't think there was any loss of anything. But yeah, I mean, if you have to redo again, I mean, then I would not go back and come back, right? And then I'll just continue, because that was the time I went back to India. US was really on a rise, because this was the time when the internet had come, and there was a lot of economic growth here that was happening. That was actually not a good time to go back. And when I came back here, economy was tanking. This was like a bust of 2000. So that was also not a good timing. But in a long run, in a big picture, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you have a benefit of hindsight, you will do things differently. But yeah, I don't have any regret. Not knowing what I know now, I would still do the same thing.
That's a good way of putting it. Do you feel like this constant, not indecisiveness, but like this constant being in double bind of, like, you're in the US, but you were thinking most of your early years in the US, you were always thinking that you'd go back to India. Do you think that, like, caused, or in hindsight, would you do things differently knowing that you were just going to stay in the US?
Yeah, so I think that is what I'm saying. Knowing what I know, I will do certain things differently, including this one, where you would settle down, buy a house here sooner. I mean, we delayed. We bought the house after 6-7 years, though we didn't have green card, so we could not have. I mean, ideally we should not have bought, but yeah, I mean, everybody else bought, so I would do things differently. But I think the whole unpredictability has its own value. It's kind of that slowness about being now settled here has its own charm, because you always have a hope, and you always have that excitement that yeah, I'll probably one day go back. If you go back now knowing what you know today, I don't know if life will be that exciting in some sense, right? Unpredictability also brings a little bit of excitement. Of course, I mean, you would financially and all that gain more if you have less uncertainty. But uncertainty has its own value, right? So I would, I mean, again, not knowing what I don't know, what I know now, not knowing that, I would probably still do the same thing. So
Yeah. Okay.
no
Last
regrets.
question.
I don't think I lost. There was any problem with anything that I mean, of course, you can go back and optimize your life, and maybe gain either career-wise or financially or something a little bit more. But it wasn't. I don't think it was that much different.
Awesome. Okay, last question. Thinking back to you when you were just got off the plane, you landed in SFO, SJC for the first time. So you got a chance to meet your younger self that was just about to immigrate or start a life here. What advice would you give?
I think one piece of advice I'll definitely give is that if you've come here, just be here. Try to make all your decisions clear and early. You are not going to go back. So just a lot of things you can actually, lot of paths that you took longer paths to get to, a lot of destinations you can actually get directly. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely advise that try to just assume that this is where you are going to be and you make all your decisions to optimize that for that. Don't be in two places. Don't be in double mind.
Awesome. Okay. Any concluding thoughts? Anything that you feel is important to your immigration story that you haven't said? Any expectations or realizations or specific memories or anything else you want to say?
Well, one thing I would say is that when you are an immigrant, then you actually think a lot about your career. You work very hard. You just want to give your best and you want to be very sincere for your job and you want to do your best. So that actually helps. I mean, because you feel that you have a lot more to lose and you have to establish yourself here and you need to make sure that your job is you're needed in your job. And then you try to other ways also to improve your value, your career. I think that really helps. I think that hard work really is the sort of secret of the success of people who come without money, without anything, and they have a dream, and then they have a desire to do better. So that is helpful. I mean, if you don't have that, then I think maybe you will not work as hard. But at the same time, I think it's also important that you enjoy the life and you take interest in everything, and you actually find time to visit places, do have fun. Maybe I think we could have done that more. But yeah, I mean it is. You try to do the best that you think at that time you have to do, and I think wisdom comes later. So I think I had both me and Anu had a good time, good run, and even the things I feel which either any one of us, right, would have thought like that is not good, certain phase of life, right? But I think all of that has a role in you getting wiser, getting smarter, getting some learning from that. So I think every experience, good or bad, I think for me at least, I feel it was very, very useful. So I have no regrets of anything that I did or did not do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you for your interview. It helped me
I'm
reflect
going to
on.
stop the recording.
Okay.